Myself is Raviraj Vankayala. I'm an associate professor in the Department of Bioscience and Bioengineering at Indian Institute of Technology, Jodhpur. I went to Taiwan to pursue my PhD. Afterwards, I moved to University of California at Riverside to do my second postdoc. I worked as a chief technology officer for 2.5 years. I develop a lot of nanomaterials in the laboratory. I try to look at the biomedical aspects of these nanomaterials. I make them multifunctional. Taiwanese are extremely hardworking. I think you have to be open minded. Every single problem, you should take it up as a challenge and you should take it up as an opportunity.
If you're passionate about education, career growth, and the startup world, don't forget to subscribe to the Crazy Careers podcast. We bring you real stories and expert insights from across industries. In today's episode, we dive into the world of nanomedicine with Dr. Raviraj, Associate Professor at IIT Jodhpur, exploring how nanotech is revolutionizing healthcare and careers. From global research to leading a biomedical startup, he shares his journey and advice for future scientists. His journey is nothing short of inspiring. Hello, sir. Welcome you to the Crazy Careers podcast. Thank you so much for joining us in today.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
So, sir, before we begin the actual conversation, would you mind letting us know a bit about yourself and your journey so far and the research work that you do?
Okay, so myself is Raviraj Vankayala. I'm an associate professor in the Department of Bioscience and Bioengineering at Indian Institute of Technology, Jodhpur. So I have done my masters and bachelors both from Andhra University, and my masters and bachelors are in chemistry. And after my masters, I went to Taiwan to pursue my PhD, and then I did my PhD there. And afterwards, I have done another postdoc in the same lab, with my supervisor in Taiwan. And then afterwards, I moved to UC Riverside, University of California at Riverside, to do my second postdoc. And I worked there as a postdoc for 2 years. And then after that, I transitioned into a company, a startup company, which is based in Irvine, which is called as Nanotech. And there I worked as a chief technology officer for another 2.5 years. And then I returned back to India, and then I joined IIT Jodhpur in January 2020 as an assistant professor. Yeah, so that
Right.
is my overall journey. And maybe just to add a little bit about my work which I do. So basically, right from my PhD, since my background is chemistry, I develop a lot of nanomaterials in the laboratory. And these nanomaterials, I try to look at the biomedical aspects of these nanomaterials. I try to explore their biomedical aspects. And in order to use them for the biomedical applications, I make them multifunctional. It's not just you make a nanomaterial which can do a single function. I always make nanomaterial which has like multiple functions incorporated into it. And then I use them for, various diseases. At least in my PhD time, I worked a lot on different types of cancer models. But, I'm continuing that journey as well. But now I branched out into, like neurodegenerative disorders and also, the microbial infections, not just the cancer models. Yeah. So that is about a little bit about my research. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's a great experience, I would say. But what inspired you exactly to pursue a career in bioscience and bioengineering?
Okay, so my story would be a little bit interesting because, as I mentioned, my background is chemistry. I have zero knowledge on biology. I don't know whether I should say this on a podcast or not, but I have zero knowledge on biology. And it was the last biology which I've read is only probably, standard 10. So after my standard 10, I have left the biology because especially in Andhra Pradesh, where I was, I did my schooling and college. So there we have like a clear cut bifurcation. We have like maths, physics, chemistry as an MPC. And then we also have BIPC, which is like, biology, physics and chemistry. So I belong to the MPC background. So I have like maths, physics and chemistry. So there is no way that, after 10th, after my standard 10, I have touched the biology. But when I joined PhD in Taiwan, and 1 year I have done a lot of projects, random projects. I try to gain some experience. I try to get acquainted with the lab, and see what stuff they are doing, what cool stuff they are doing. And then one day my supervisor, just on a stick note, he wrote a couple of projects, a couple of ideas, and then he said, you can pick any one which you would like, and you can take that as your PhD project. And somehow, I don't know, I was just inclined to pick the bio related aspect, and then I just went to him, and I told that I wanted to pursue this bio related project, and then he said fine. And that was the time when I went to the library and I took a cell biology textbook, a basic cell biology textbook, and started reading like what exactly a cell is. That's where my journey has started. And I'm very lucky enough to be landed in a department which is of, a bioscience and bioengineering. And most of my students, my PhD students who are in the lab currently, all of them are biologists. So I'm basically a chemist and all of them are biologists. So we have a lot of crosstalk, and my chemistry knowledge will really help them. And I also try to understand the biology, the at least the fundamental, because see, we always look at the diseases and we know the fundamental problems. I might not be completely aware about the detailed, the biological, the mechanisms and all, but I can always understand, I can always connect. So that's how we crosstalk, even with my students today. Yeah. So that's how my journey started venturing into bioscience and bioengineering.
Right. I would say this is a perfect example of interdisciplinary.
Yes,
So, two
absolutely.
things of the art. Yes,
Yes,
yes.
yes.
So,
So
you have worked. Yes, yes.
yeah.
You were saying
No, when it
something?
comes to interdisciplinary, this would be like, I think nowadays many people are talking about, this interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary aspects. But I think I also agree with you that this is the perfect example, because there is a blend of chemistry, there is a blend of
Yes.
material science, and there is also biology. So three different disciplines, they come together, and that is how, it's my research area.
Right, right. So, you have worked in India, Taiwan, and US as well. So, how has this global exposure actually helped you in your research outlook and also taking a career choice?
Okay. So it is definitely very different, because working in Taiwan. So first, let me tell a little bit about my work experience in Taiwan. So
Mm.
I mean, when I went for PhD, this was like back in 2007, and so that time I really don't know where exactly Taiwan is, because we are not. I mean, at least back then, around 2006, 2005, we are not much into, with the cell phones where we have a lot of internet
Right.
access available, readily available, right? So I think that was the while I was applying in 2005, that was the first time I started, trying to zoom in the map in the internet and see where exactly Taiwan is, because at least back then people have a misconception. When you say Taiwan, the next immediate question people will ask is it in China? but
Yes,
but the
yes.
answer is no. I think now people know very well about Taiwan, because of the cell phones and the semiconductor manufacturing and all, right? I mean, all the chips which we normally see in the cell
Absolutely.
phones are manufactured in Taiwan. So now Taiwan is very popular, but back then it was not like that. And yeah, so that's how. And then I started looking at the schools, because I really wanted to explore that place. And then once I got into National Tsinghua University, where I've done my PhD. And the first thing which really attracted me in Taiwan is that the people are so warm and welcoming. I mean, I really did not find that, that culture. I don't think I'll be able to find that culture anywhere in the world. But people are really warm and welcoming. I think that is my first, thing which really got triggered. Okay, this is the best place. I think I can continue for my PhD here. And people are very helpful. They are very warm. They are very welcoming. And especially for the foreigners, I mean, always language is a barrier, but over a period of time, I have overcome that also. And because as a part of the coursework during PhD, we also need to learn some Mandarin. That really helped me in communicating with my lab mates, so that I have an ease of communication and all. Of course, my supervisor speaks English because he has done his PhD and postdoc from United States. but but I think trying to get the local culture, and also trying to have a communication with your colleagues there in the laboratory, that will make your life more easy. And yeah, so that's how definitely the work culture was very, very different, the working environment. And
Yes.
they are very hardworking. Taiwanese are extremely hardworking. And if you look at the chemistry department there, I think more or less all the lights will be on the entire night, so people are so hardworking. And
Definitely.
they're very, very hardworking. They're very hardworking. And when it comes to the research infrastructure, whatnot, I mean, you just name any instrument, and that instrument is available. You can either the instrument is available within the same institute, or you can easily access the sophisticated instrument even if it is outside your own institute also. So in terms of research infrastructure, and in terms of the passion they have, and in terms of their the way they welcome the foreigners, I think these are the three things which really excel me in or having my life in Taiwan much more easy. Yeah, so that is
Right.
about Taiwan. And once I moved to US, it was totally different. It was definitely totally different. And there, in United States, again, I have a very mixed culture in the lab, because I have a lot of friends as lab mates who are from the native citizens of US, and some of them are the native Chinese, and some people are from Vietnamese. We are from different countries,
Right.
and some are Mexicans. So I have a mixed culture. But again, in US also, like I had a very good time. And when I worked as a postdoc, one basic difference I could say that in terms of the working culture between United States and Taiwan is that in United States I got the opportunity to work on the grant applications, which I could not get in Taiwan. Although I have done one postdoc in the same lab where I've graduated in Taiwan, but since most of the grant applications in Taiwan they used to write in Mandarin, so I don't think I'll be able to help other than just providing the data. But in the United States, I have the opportunity in working on the grant applications. So I really got to learn a lot of key aspects and the nuances, like what things you can include in your proposal so that your proposal or your grant can really sound very good. So these are some
Right.
key learnings for me from United States. And of course, afterwards returning back to India, which was again a totally different atmosphere. And I think now I'm fine. I completely got adjusted to the Indian academic system, and then yeah, touchwood, my lab is also functioning very well. Yeah.
Yes. So of course, like you will also be CTO of Radoptic. So
Yes.
how has been this transition from academia to industry, especially in this high-end biomedical space?
Okay, so the transition of me from academia to the company, working in a company is also very interesting. I mean, I have a small interesting story there. It was my conscious decision,
Mm.
and the reason I've said that it was my conscious decision, because one of my bigger goal I always have in my mind is to return back to India and start my own laboratory. So this was all my bigger goal. So the very first time when I started, looking at the faculty positions was probably in I would say in 2000 in 2013. I started looking at the faculty positions. So from 2013 onwards, I really wanted to get a faculty position. So, but in between, I tried different places, but I couldn't get. So that's how I moved to United States for my postdoc and all. But my end goal was to get a good faculty position. So that was all there in my mind, and I wanted to build my CV. I wanted to build my CV with the publications. I wanted to build my CV
Right.
with having some good experience, maybe in terms of grant writing and all. So in United States, if you're doing your postdoc, you cannot be the principal investigator in a grant application, because the principal investigator would be your postdoc supervisor, and you
Mhm.
can always be helping in drafting the proposal, and you can always be helping your mentor in executing the project, but you can never be the principal investigator while you are a postdoc. And I
Right.
got an opportunity from my postdoc supervisor, because he has a startup company, and he asked me if I can be the principal investigator in that startup company, And then he said that if that grant becomes successful, then I have to transition from my postdoc job to the company job. So being a principal investigator on the grant application, on an NIH grant application, was the triggering point for me. That was the move. I thought, okay, it would be a good opportunity and it would be really helpful to include this in my CV so that it can help me to get a good faculty position, maybe back in India or maybe back in Taiwan, wherever I'm looking at. And yeah, so that's why I actually, that was the reason I have transitioned to the company. And luckily
Right.
we got that grant and I have become the principal investigator, and I completed two projects as a principal investigator from NIH through the Radoptics company. And yeah, that's how my journey has transitioned.
Yes, and more than even CV, it is all about experience. So now
Yes,
when you feel
absolutely.
and think back about those days, like you feel good, right? Because
Yes.
you have diversified experience.
Yes.
So
So
even
just
students
one more
also,
thing I would like to add
yes,
is that I mean, getting a faculty position, whether it is in India or anywhere, it is not an easy task, because as we
yes,
all know that there are so many PhD students who are graduating, and now when you look at the publications or the quality of the work people are doing, you know everyone are doing excellent work. So the competition is very tough, and if you want to get into academia, and I mean the competition is like very very high. You really need to compete with so many people, so many excellent CVs, and there should be something unique in your CV so that you can be at the top position. So
right.
yeah, I think yeah, having different experience definitely matters for sure. Yeah.
Right. So, for students and researchers listening and watching this podcast today, I would like to ask you what is actually nanotheranostics? I'm sure like I'm pronouncing it well.
Absolutely
Uh,
correct.
so,
Yeah.
and how are they changing the future of drug delivery and also the diagnosis?
Okay. So, as I mentioned that I work on the development of multifunctional nanostructures. So here the idea is you don't just develop nanostructures, you incorporate multifunctionality into them. Okay. So
Right.
there is always a thumb rule that, any nanostructure which you prepare in the laboratory cannot be used for biomedical application. So there are certain characteristics you need to incorporate into a nanostructure, and if you
Mhm.
want to use them for the specifically for a biomedical application. So this multifunctionality becomes very very important. Let's say when it comes to the hydrophilicity, which is the water dispersibility of your nanoparticles or the nanostructures, are very important for the biological application. And you always want to have a uniform size. You don't want to
Right.
have a disparity in the size, right? And the morphology or the shape has to be very well controlled. The size has to be very well controlled, and the surface functionality, the surface chemistry also need to be very well understood. So all these are very very important considerations if you want to translate them for biomedical applications. And nanodiagnostics specifically, the term diagnostics is just very simple. It is the combination of diagnostics and therapeutics together. Because conventionally, we all see that, there are diagnostic agents and there are therapeutic agents. So therapeutic agents in the sense, let's say you have drug molecules, and when it comes to the diagnostic agents, like let's say you have MRI contrast agents, like you have CT contrast, right? All these are contrast agents which normally help you to diagnose the diseases and all. But what happens when you combine both of them together? One of the biggest advantages that you can actually use the diagnostic modality to monitor the therapeutic outcome. Okay, if you want to monitor the therapeutic outcome very effectively, why don't you use a single nano agent, inject into the body, and let's say the same agent you can use that as for diagnostic purposes and also for the therapeutic purposes. And when the therapeutic action is going on, you can also monitor, like how the therapy is undergoing, okay, with the help of the imaging
Right.
modality. So that is the biggest advantage. And the conventional drug delivery systems, they are very different. The conventional drug delivery systems, they are more into the therapeutics. They never perform any sort of diagnostics,
Mhm.
because there the idea is to deliver the payload as much as possible with the help of the nano carrier. Nowhere people
Right.
talk about how the the therapeutic outcome can actually be monitored. But when you have a nanodiagnostic agent, and this brings an advantage. This brings an additional advantage with respect to the conventional drug delivery systems.
Right. You yourself have published like more than 60 research papers. So, what would be your advice to young researchers aiming for quality journals?
So one of the advice I would give to the, for the people who are listening to this podcast and also for the young researchers is that I think you have to be open minded. So
Right.
everyone has to be open minded because I mean, I don't know whether I can use the word conservative, but most of the current generation, which I found, is I felt they are very conservative. Conservative in the sense that okay, this is my project, and I want to execute. I want to just work only on my project, and then maybe whatever one paper or two research articles which comes out of my project, I'll just work on that and graduate. But I think that is not a good mindset, I would say. If you are an open minded person, I mean, especially in research, we should be completely open minded. You should take it up, every single problem, you should take it up as a challenge, and you should take it up as an opportunity. And the moment you take these problems or challenges as an opportunities, that is where you have ample you have ample space to come up with a lot more papers and gain diverse experience, in which, like, let's say you graduate with your PhD degree and you move to the real world for the academic job hunting or for the industrial job hunting. That is where your experience will really speak. So I think we should really come out of the conservative mindset of working on my project. I'll just work on my project, and I don't want to help in any other projects in the lab, or I don't want to work with anyone else. You should be like really open minded in terms of research. You should be as accommodative as possible. Wherever there is a opportunity, I think you should participate in your lab mates work also, because nowadays it is very very difficult for one single person to execute the entire research project and have a very big paper. So multiple people have to participate. So that is where I think I probably felt that this is a little bit missing, but I think this kind of a habit has to be inculcated.
Right.
Yeah, this is my suggestion.
Yes, and also research nowadays is more integrating. Like,
Yes.
for example, if you're doing the research in your area, you never know, like, some other area also can be an amalgamation, just
Yes.
like yours. Like, you
Yes.
belong from chemistry. If you would have done only in chemistry some
Yes.
research, then you would not have come out with the research and outputs that you have come out now
Yes.
beautifully.
Yes.
So,
And
yes,
also the other thing is the crosstalk is very important. So I think
yes,
you need to have a very good crosstalk across disciplines. So, like for example, as you mentioned, uh, I mean, my probably my expertise is in chemistry, but definitely, I mean, today I'm at a position where I can, I can easily do any kind of a biological experiments, including the animal experiments. But I don't think, if I crosstalk with, if I would have not done any sort of crosstalk with biologists, or with my mentors in biology, I don't think I would have acquired these kind of a skill sets or this kind of a knowledge or this kind of a training, right? And so that amalgamation and the crosstalk is extremely important. Yeah.
right. So, what is the day your life at IIT Jodhpur looks like as a researcher, professor, and mentor?
Okay, so my day at IIT Jodhpur, pretty much, I start my day with my classes, because most of the time I'm a morning person. So most of the time I prefer to have the class, at 8 o'clock in the morning. So I mean, my day gets started with the class, and once my class gets over, I probably go and visit my laboratory, and I discuss with my students if they are there, and I'll just discuss about like what kind of challenges they are undergoing in terms of experiments, or if they have any exciting results which they want to update me. I would just love to listen from them. I mean, I might not have that much time to look at the data at that particular point of time, but I would love to listen and talk to them. And then, of course, I would be having some, couple of other meetings I would attend, and then maybe later I'll find some day to, go and have a one-to-one interaction with them, where I can sit and, look at the data, and then I can give suggestions to my students. And sometimes I'll also, try to help them in their experiments. And I mean, for my students, like, they can come anytime. to my office if they want to discuss. I really don't restrict that they have to come at this particular time, and discuss with me. But have some, I dedicated, I try to segregate, like, I have one-to-one meetings with everyone. And then I also used to have a regular lab meetings, which I normally keep it on a Saturday, where I sit with my entire team, and then we will sort of have different kinds of scientific deliberations, and whatever issues we face in the lab, we try to resolve it together as a team. Yeah, so that's how my day pretty much goes like that.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. So, sir, as far as I know, Indian scientists are really doing great. But there is a lack that whatever the work our scientists are doing, it is not coming out in public. And there is a lack of science communication in India, I would say. So, what is your suggestion and advice that we can build that science communication more so that our younger generation also will uh, will take a look and get aware of what is happening in India and what our scientists are doing.
So again, this is just my viewpoint. I personally feel that it is a myth. It is not completely true. I think it depends on how do you perceive it. So I mean, I don't think I've felt anything different, because I've seen how the way the science communicates in Taiwan, which is a Southeast Asian country, and how people communicate science in a Western country like the United States, and then here I think the only thing probably is that we need to have more frequent, meetings, or more frequent, like a mini conferences, or some sort of scientific gatherings where we all come and sit together, and especially it should not restrict to one particular area or one particular community. I think community also should, they should really crosstalk with different disciplines. I think that
Right.
that should be even more. I mean, scientific communication cross discipline should happen in an official format in terms of conferences or meetings. I think in that way, if you can try to have more participation, I think that will completely erase. And I think that kind of culture, I see that now in India, because I don't know what was there before, but definitely I see that in India right now, and
Yeah.
it is definitely very encouraging for me. Yeah.
Right, right. Now it's changing, and of course, the future is bright for science in India. Right, it was really a great conversation, and thank you so much for giving us time from your busy schedule and joining us in. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for the opportunity, and also for inviting me. Thank you.